Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you, or wherever this is going to find you. It is Monday, April 13th, but I do realize that, and I understand that it's tax week. So you might be in a different place mentally, physically. You might be knocking on the doors of your tax guy and saying, hey, we got to get this done. So if I happen to find you later in the week after you've gotten all caught up with your to-do list, no worries. This is This Morning with Tiff Potter. It's a daily companion audio show, not quite a podcast, not quite a radio show. It drives it right up the middle. It's rooted in Cincinnati, but made for wherever you are. And if you want a little company when you get ready, when you go for a walk, when you're driving around, you press play. Episodes usually come out at 8 a.m. and sometimes there's video if you're looking for a little visual. Today is just audio. I'm just in your ears today, and I'm happy to be here. It's things you want to know, need to know, could use later, conversations that might sit with you, conversations you might share with your friends. But ultimately, like I said, if you want a little company, you press play with me, okay? I'm on the east side this morning. We're going to talk about the big concert in the desert from this weekend, maybe some notable moments that you'll scroll past, or maybe you already did. Also, how much does a chicken sandwich with french fries cost you when you're at Coachella in the desert? We'll also chit-chat some bigger sports moments. We'll hear from the Artemis II crew since they made that landing this weekend. And then we'll wrap up the episode by answering this silly question. And I want you to start thinking about it. And whenever you get a chance, please comment below on whatever platform you're listening on. Or better yet, send me a voice note at the Tiff 2Fs Potter like the wizard. What is that big life goal that you couldn't care less about? There is this to-do list in life, and you're like, yeah, I really should do that. Or yeah, better yet, I really should want to do that, but I just don't care. I don't want to do that. Everyone's trying to do it, and I don't care, and I don't want to do it. What is it for you? I'll rattle off a few from this list I found on Reddit, okay? All right. First and foremost, let's hear from the Artemis II crew. They made their first public appearance since they splashed down on Friday after their 11-day trip around the moon. Here they are.
No one down here is ever going to know what the four of us just went through, and it was the most special thing that will ever happen in my life.
I can imagine 10 days, 695,000-mile journey around the moon and back, and it's the first crewed lunar mission in more than 50 years, leaving us all with something to watch and look out for last week, but that has since come and gone. So they're already working on the Artemis III. When there's more on that, I'll have it for you. Other big news, Rory McIlroy won back-to-back Masters, and I feel like I'm butchering his name, but here's a quick clip.
Rory is a rare repeat winner at Augusta.
I wonder how many repeat winners there have been at the Masters. I'll play him reacting to his win.
Thank you, Chairman Ridley. It still fits, which is nice. My parting message last year was I can't wait to come back next year and put the green jacket on myself. I wasn't quite correct because the chairman did it, but I did want to come back here and prove last year wasn't a fluke.
All right, so there are 4 other golfers in history who have won back-to-back Masters tournaments. Rory was the last one, 25 and 26. Jack Nicklaus in 65 and 66. Nick Faldo in 89 and 90. Tiger Woods in 01 and 02. And then, like I said, Rory, 25, 26. There you go, a little Masters trivia and history. I did not watch a single second, but I hope you had one of the best naps of your life this weekend, if you do watch the Masters. All right, other things to note. Hey, Britney Spears checked into rehab. Obviously, sending good vibes and good energy her way. It is not my place in this world as a human to judge another human on their choices and where that led them to. I will be hopefully not asking for the same type of grace in my life as I get older. You know, I would very much like to not go to rehab, but that similar type of just understanding forgiveness and grace, I'm sure I will need at some point in my life. So I will always offer it to those, even if they're not in my inner circle. I'm just sending good energy and good vibes her way. She was arrested in California last month for a DUI. The program's an undetermined length, but she could stay the typical 30-day period, and there's no confirmation by the way, from Brit's team, but TMZ is reporting it, and TMZ usually has a very good track record. So I'm sending all the good energy in her direction, hoping that she gets the help that she needs and is offered the grace that she needs. The media is pretty relentless with Britney Spears, has been for her entire life. All right, other notable moments. Coachella was this weekend. If you don't know what Coachella is, it's 2 weekends in Palm Springs, California. And I believe years ago when it started off as probably a little bit of a homie fest, right? And then over the years, it has grown into one of the places to be for celebrities and regular people walking the same grounds, watching the same artists. Fashion has evolved over the years of Coachella. Talent and performance level. We went from having probably a couple of guitars on stage to something known as Baychella. If you don't know what that is, Beyonce did Coachella, back in 2018. Still one of the best live albums I've ever heard. If you haven't had a chance to listen to Homecoming, the album live, which is recorded from Coachella, do it. It's the best album to work out to if you're looking for something. It's got a lot of, it was made with marching band, so there are a lot of like really cool beats. If you're a runner, I highly recommend searching Homecoming and then rewatching it on Netflix whenever you get the urge to do so. But it has come a long way from a homie fest to now the place to be. Sabrina Carpenter headlined, which was great because a couple of years ago she had said, "I'll see you when I'm back here at Coachella headlining." And then that came to fruition 2 years later. There was a little controversy with her set. I don't know if we need to spend a lot of time on it. It sounds like from her, statement that it was just a misunderstanding. And you know what? I'm just going to take it at face value this Monday morning, right? Some celebrity guests at her performance. Will Ferrell is one of them. Susan Sarandon, the voice of Samuel L. Jackson, was also in there. And then other headliners from the weekend include Anita, I believe. And which we're still getting performance clips from her, and I do have to double check if she was the headliner. I am having a little bit of a brain fart on that this morning, but the big one outside of Sabrina and Anita is Justin Bieber. Now, I'd love to get your take on this, because from all of the footage that I've seen, I feel like Justin Bieber's performance was very boring. And I lied. I'm so sorry. It wasn't Anita. It was Carol G. Carol G. Sorry, my bad. Carol G was the Sunday night headliner for a Coachella, and we're still getting some videos coming in from that one. Usually they take about a day to catch up because they don't really go on until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning East Coast time. Okay, so, yeah, Sabrina, pop princess right now, a performer, a Broadway production. I saw her live when she was in Columbus 2 years ago. Loved the visuals of hers. Now, I've seen Justin Bieber as well. Actually, the last time I saw him live was here in Cincy in 2022, I believe. Could have been early 2021. And that was also very boring. I feel like Justin Bieber is a very boring performer. Anytime I see him on TV, anywhere, he's boring. But he always wins the nostalgic bucket with millennials. And that's why I think some people did love his performance from the desert this weekend, because he pulled up a lot of old YouTube videos of his early days performing. Now, I think the standard for Coachella flexes, right? I still think there are people that go enjoy the music. They love like just the desert vibes, also known as a homie fest. But then there are people like the Beyoncés that really came in and established Coachella and really popped it to that next level of, hey, this is a performance of a lifetime to watch. And I think Sabrina Carpenter went down that road, the same road that Beyonce went down, but it seems like Justin Bieber kind of went down the homie fest. Very boring though, but also very millennial nostalgia forward. So when you scroll across the clips, you'll have to kind of keep me in mind and keep this conversation in mind and let me know what your thoughts are on it. This coming weekend rather, is the second weekend for Coachella. It's always 2 weekends in the desert if you get confused on why you're seeing so much Coachella content in the month of April. It's the same performance, just twice. Okay, some notable moments. If you're not familiar with the Coachella menu, a gyro will cost you $20, Greek salad $15, a Greek salad with meat is $20. Cheesy chips are $16. A lemonade is $10. Chicken sandwich with fries is $30. Chicken tenders with fries is $26. If you want to add cheese, it's $3. A soda is $7. Water is $2. If you want garlic chili noodles, those are $18. Spicy wontons, $14. A coconut water is $7. If you're looking for a turkey tomato mozzarella sandwich, that's $12. If you want French fries and chicken strips, that's $17.50. If you're interested in a pulled pork French fry basket, that's $16. If you want a spicy tuna bowl out in the desert, $23. Okay. That's the thing about festivals. You're never going to catch me at a Coachella for a few reasons. One, I do not like being stranded that far away from society, meaning you've got to take a plane, then you've got to rent a car, then you've got to pitch a tent. I don't love that it is very commercialized. That's what happens when you go from a homie fest to mainstream, is that the prices automatically triple and quadruple, but the experience gets worse. But I do enjoy looking at the clips. You know, I did say that I would never, ever, ever go to a music festival. And if we're not connected on social, this past July, I went to my very first one where I camped in Thornville, Ohio at Secret Dreams. And I had one of the best weekends that I've had in my 30s in a long time. It was awesome. We did a few drugs and nothing crazy, Dad. Just some psychedelics. It was a homie fest, so waters were $2. Food was like relatively inexpensive. You know, you can get a grilled cheese or something for like $5 or $6. Everyone there is really nice and friendly. That's the thing that you'll see about festival culture from what I learned in my one experience, is that everyone's always giving out something. And it's cool. It's very community. So I'm really looking forward to Secret Dreams. If you are interested in EDM music, my boyfriend got me into it. I was like, we're going to a festival with no words, not one word, no words for 2. He went for 4 days, but I highly recommend it. They moved the weekend though. It's happening in, leading into Labor Day this weekend if you're looking for something fun. All right, those are the big things that you need to know from this weekend. Let's chit chat about this Reddit thread that I found on the list of things that are supposed to be big goals in life that people couldn't care less about. And I'm wondering where you stack up with any of this. List of popular life goals that people do not care about. Coming in at number 1, buying a big house. I know it's supposed to be the dream, but I'd rather have freedom and experiences, not the square footage. I think that the housing thing is shifting. There are still people, of course, buying real estate because in some cases it's a smart investment. In other cases, I don't think it's a smart investment right now. That's why I don't own one. My dad also said one time, as soon as you own a house, your freedom is gone. All of your freedom goes away when you own a home. Isn't that interesting? Not a secret, but having visible abs. I'm a curvy fit woman. I lift, I'm active, I'm healthy, and I don't really care about having abs. Okay? The strong need or desire to have sex, get drunk, or do drugs. I don't really care if I get married or not. I'm not against a long-term relationship with kids with the right person, but I don't really have a strong desire to tie the knot. That feels very millennial forward. I think that we watched a lot of our parents' relationships go through 2 or 3 versions of marriage. So why would we do it? I think that there are still plenty of millennial friends of mine that are married, but I think that you can see both sides of the coin there. I don't care about getting a degree. I just want to have a job that pays enough to live comfortably, and that I have something if I want to learn, I'll go out and I'll learn that one thing. I also think the idea around money is changing a lot and climbing the corporate ladder. Now that I have departed the corporate ladder a little bit here from my job transition, I've noticed that the goal to climb the corporate ladder, I think especially with Gen Z, is less. They just want enough money, whether it's from a company or produced on their own, to live a really nice lifestyle for themselves, or they prioritize their life and not a job. Waiting to travel until you're retired. I think that is also millennial forward. Millennials love to travel. Getting a driver's license. This one feels very Gen Z. I'd rather live in a walkable city where everything I need day to day is nearby, and the few big things I need can be done with Uber or delivery services. So I understand that, because I lived in Boston, and the part of Cincinnati that I live in Mount Adams, I agree, is very walkable as well. If I really wanted to, I could ride a bike or walk to a grocery store, coffee shop, things of that nature. But the getting of the license was a rite of passage growing up. So that is something I feel like you just need to have your freedom. But the younger generations coming up in their driver's license are waiting until way beyond 18, because they have access to Uber and delivery services like Grubhub, DoorDash, and Uber Eats. Having a romantic life partner, okay? Being a millionaire. And here's 1 or 2 more for you. Having a super big friend group. I'd rather keep it small and real. And that is probably a piece of advice that's been long standing, right? As you get older, your circle gets smaller. A lot of people have skydiving or bungee jumping on their bucket list. I have no desire to do either of those. Never. No, thank you. That was an interesting one. And then the last one here that I agree with is any car that does anything more than getting you from A to B. Paying more for heated seats and an iPad on the dashboard sounds absolutely stupid. All right, well, that sounds like you've never had Apple CarPlay. That is a game changer. But I do agree with just keeping things simple and basic, kind of, especially when it comes to cars. But I wonder what your list is. Leave me a voice note if you haven't connected yet. That's a good place to leave the episode, and a good place to leave it for today. At the Tiff, 2 F's Potter like the Wizard. What is something that is on the typical life bucket list that you have no desire to do? I'd love to have you over there, okay? If we're not connected, let's do so on social. And if you haven't made this show a part of your like and subscribe list on Spotify or Apple, I would love to have you. And again, it's a daily companion show. If you want a little friend every morning when you're getting ready or when you're walking around, if you want some company, you press play at your leisure, okay? Thank you for inviting me into your life and to the places that you love. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and that you enjoyed some of the beautiful weather that we had this past weekend. It was a good one. I forgot to check in on you at the beginning of the episode to make sure you're doing all right, but I suspect that if you're here with me now, you're doing all right. All right, have a good day.